Hello and welcome to the Chug that tests Pokemon starter video. Today I am testing most of the possible starter builds with absolute trash gear to get an approximate idea of which builds will be the best to start next season. Keep in mind I am using almost no gear, meaning the showcase will be very rough. So do not mind me running around trying my best to stay alive. Also note that I am making this video and we do not yet have the patch notes, so some builds may be nerfed or buffed or remain unchanged. Now to the question that is killing us all, which builds are the strongest with the least amount of gear, potentially being great season starting character, so here goes nothing. After each build I will show a chart of the areas that the build can farm easily, so simply press pause or make a screenshot if you need to. Starting with Mind Blast Assassin, this character has many pros considering Mind Blast synergies gives her Shadow Warrior as a tank, Cloak of Shadows for crowd control, and Psychic Hammer for boss killing. Then you are left with enough points to customize your character as you prefer. Dealing physical damage means you are able to farm a lot of areas in the game, but early on I will suggest to stick to areas where monsters have lower HP. For this build setup, you want to max these skills: Mind Blast, Cloak of Shadows, Psychic Hammer, Shadow Warrior. Then I would suggest to put the rest of your points into either Fade or Burst of Speed depending if you prefer safety or speed. Here are the areas you should be farming. Next, we have Fire Trap Assassin. With this setup, you will play safe behind your Shadow Warrior and Mercenary while your traps will do the job for you. While this build starts a bit slower than the Mad Blast Assassin in damage, it will quickly pick up the pace with every single skill point from your gear. With this setup, you will be able to farm quite a few areas, and it can easily stack magic fine without much of a setback. Similarly to the Mind Blast Sin, you should most likely stick to areas with low health monsters to increase your farming speed. Then you can proceed to other areas. For this build, put 20 points into Wake of Inferno, Wake of Fire, and Fire Blast. Then you may spend the rest of your points to customize your character to your own playstyle. Personally, I believe Shadow Warrior and Burst of Speed are pretty good early game until you pick up some kill speed. Next on the list is Lightning Trap Assassin. This one without any gear will outpace both Mind Blast Assassin and Fire Trap Assassin at the cost of farmable areas. With barely anything on, it can clear the core level fairly easily, Eldritch and Shank. Sadly, most other areas have too many lightning immunes to give us a decent clear run. The only other area will be the Pit of Acheron in Act 5, and trust me, you don't want to be in there without some decent survivability. You want 20 points into Dead Sentry, Chain Lightning Sentry, Charge Bolt Sentry, and Shockwave. Then use the rest of them to customize your build, but personally I like Shadow Warrior and Burst of Speed. Here are your farmable areas. To the Necromancer, starting with Bone Spear paired with Revives. Magic damage being about as strong as Vanilla, meaning you can easily farm all areas in the game with revives on the front line and dealing high damage. This is a great starter class, but it will lose some of its charms as you progress, because other classes will slowly but surely catch up to you and surpass it. With this build you want Max Bone Spear, Max Bone Spirit, Thief, Bone Armor, put the rest into revives, but don't forget to put 1 point into Blood Warp. Then the Poison Necromancer. You should be able to farm most area with low health monsters, as anything with poison immunity, the revives will take care of them. This is a strong starter, on par with the Bone Spear build. Thanks to Blood Warp, it's easy to get out of bad situations and reposition. But as you can see, Chaos Sanctuary is barely out of reach. With some decent early gear, you should be able to make easy work of it. Now for the skill setup, you want maximum Poison Nova, Desecrate, Poison Dagger, 20 into Lower Resist, 1 into Blood Warp, and everything else into revives. Ha! The Necromancer. I have nothing to tell you about this build. As if it wasn't obvious, simply look at the area I am in right now, without any gear. It speaks for itself, so now that this build is out of the way, the skills are 20 revives, 20 clay golems, max golem mastery, 1 into blood warp, 20 amplify damage, and everything else into curse mastery. As for the areas you can farm, well, to the Amazon a week ago, the Lightning Java Zone. This build isn't anything special early game until you run the core level. Then, this build goes from shit tier to S tier. Without much gear, you still have insane clear speed, and in the core level, this is a must. You want to max Lightning Fury, Lightning Bolt, Power Strike, Valkyrie, then everything else into Pierce. As for the areas you want to farm, as for the poison counterpart, you will want to farm areas where monsters have lower HP before progressing to Hellcoast, and potentially other areas. While the kill speed is much slower, it still is a decent starter pick, and it will have more available areas to farm in once you get some minimalistic gear. With the Poison Java Zone, you will be able to farm the same areas as the Poison Nova Necromancer. For the skills, you want to max Poison Javelin, Plague Javelin, Javelin Mastery, Valkyrie, and everything else into Pierce. Next on the list, the Freezing Arrow Boa Zone. As of now, the Freezing Arrow acts as a shotgun. It will trigger whenever your arrow pierces multiple monsters, making this build absolutely insane in any high density area. Goes and tier 1 maps can be done as soon as you want to, as long as you stay safe. Your skill setup will be 20 freezing arrows, 20 ice arrow, 20 cold arrow. If you want to kill bosses faster, you can put 20 points into magic arrow to increase the ice arrow damage, otherwise put those points to Valkyrie and the rest into Pierce. The Fire Amazon is slightly weaker than the Cold one. While she will be able to farm the coast and tier 1 map almost as easily, you will require some extra skills and gear to reach the same amount of clear speed. But this is mainly due to the Fire tree being plain weaker than the Cold one. Senpai buff Fire Amazon. Skills are 20 points into Fire Arrow, 20 into Exploding Arrow, maximum Immolation, 20 into Magic Arrow, and everything else into Pierce. Jumping to the Barbarian, a single barb is very strong, able to break immunities, having a huge HP pool, making this a surprisingly safe build for its short range. As a starter, I will stick to low monster life areas until you get some decent gear. You want 1 point to natural resistance, iron skin, increased speed, combat reflexes, 20 into battle cry, war cry, battle order, owl, and the rest of your skills into shout, with 1 point into find item. Here comes the farmable areas. The true barbarian. I am using a shop weapon with about 100 maximum damage and a deadbit dagger. Consider that it is very easy to find better weapons, yet we still put up a fight. For this setup, you want max double throw, double swing, 1 into natural resistance, iron skin, increased speed, combat reflexes, 20 into battle command, battle order, and 1 into find item. Personally, I hate Grimward, so I don't even bother. Area chart time. the Frenzy Barbarian is on the weaker side, using Butcher's Pupil and Cold Kill, both exceptional weapons. It's a real struggle to play. This is a great class to start if you want to put yourself at a disadvantage or want some self-challenge. Personally, I have nothing against self-challenge. 20 points into Frenzy, 20 into Double Swing, 1 into Natural Resistance, Iron Skin, Increased Speed, Combat Reflexes, 10 Max General Mastery, 1 into Battle Command, 20 into Battle Order, and everything else into Stun. The final Barbarian will be Concentration Bar, and we are just skipping it, as it's just not worth your time as a starter class. Do yourself a favor, pick something else, or use it as a challenge. Hype for the Bear Druid. Using Shockwave, we did a good chunk of damage. Making this on par with the other physical builds, this is an extremely safe and hardcore viable build. Safe, strong, and it's a goddamn grizzly. What's not to love? So you want 1 point into Werebear, 20 into Lycanthropy, Shockwave, Twister, Tornado, and 1 into Hurricane. You can also pick yourself a Grizzly if you want to. And to the area list. Fire Druid, right off the bat without any gear, killing stuff in tier 1 map. That's what I like to see. You have everything you need to stay alive with Hurricane and Borders, and quite a few available areas to farm. You want 20 into Armageddon, Volcano, Fissure, Molten Border, 1 into Hurricane, 1 into Gust, everything else into Oak Sage, but Grizzly is also an option. And now to the farmable areas. The all-time classic Nado Druid. Once more putting his weight on the balance, he is a force to be recognized. Easy to pick up and able to kill monsters in tier 1 map without any gear, this is a well-rounded starter char. The skills are as follows: 20 into Arctic Blast, Twister, Tornado, Hurricane, 1 into Gust, everything else into Oak Sage, but Grizzly is also a nice option. And now the areas possible to farm. The Summoner Druid, similarly to the Necromancer, is plenty strong. Without proper gear, Chaos Sanctuary or even maps are at your disposal. Although I would suggest running areas that are faster to clear. With this setup you want 20 into Grizzly, Direwolf, Spirit Wolf, Heart of Wolverine, 1 into Gust, and everything else into Raven. The Holy Bolt Pally is completely busted. As a skill currently shotguns magic damage, but keep in mind it will be nerfed next season. But as of now, it is the strongest we have covered so far. Here is the skill setup. Maximum Holy Bolt, Holy Light, Fist of Heavens, Holy Nova. As for your main aura, you are free to pick whatever fits your best playstyle. Personally, I like Redemption, but Salvation, Vigor, or even Meditation could be considered. As for Holy Freeze, Holy Fire, Holy Shock builds, all three are very viable, with the only difference being the areas you will be able to farm. These are most likely the strongest starter for melee characters, all you need is a fast attacking weapon. As for the skill setup, it will be all the same except for your main aura and the resistance aura that is a synergy to your main skill. So you want to max your main aura, blessed aim, salvation, and the resistance to your own element. Then 1 point into holy shield and everything else into zeal for the attack rating. Sanctuary Paladin is about the same with the only difference being your main aura synergy. So for your skills you want to max Sanctuary, blessed aim, Thorns, Might, 1 into Holy Shield and everything else into Zeal. As for this build's farmable areas, here are the charts. Starting off Sorceress on the wrong foot, I cannot recommend any lightning starter build for this Sorceress when the trap scene can outperform them really hard. Keep in mind you will be stuck farming Shank and Eldritch for quite some hours. So do yourself a favor on this one and do not play Lightning Source for a starter character. Now the Frozen Orb Sorceress. From a safe distance, with teleport, having access to all areas without cold immune, this build has great damage output. Sorceress has always been a great starting char and here is no different. 20 into Frozen Orb, Cold Mastery, Ice Blast, Ice Bolt, 1 to teleport, and everything else into Warm. The Frost Nova Sorceress. This one is slightly weaker than the Frozen Orb Sorceress, but the main reason is because of the range. You need to be close to monsters and it puts you at a greater risk. Otherwise, it is still a nice starter. You need to max Frost Nova, Shiver Armor, Ice Bolt, Cold Mastery, 1 to teleport and everything else into Warm. Next is Blizzard Sorceress. This one, in my opinion, is better suited at boss killing, but it can still clear the same areas as the other two without much problem at all. But if you want to farm Mephisto or Endariel, it is an amazing starter. For your skills you want Max Blizzard, Cold Mastery, Glacier Spike, Ice Bolt, 1 to teleport and everything else into Warm. The Fire Sorceress. This is Combustion, and as you can see, I am able to kill monsters in tier 1 map. Either that or co-level, you are able to farm both areas with almost no gear at all. So it goes to say it is very strong. I believe it will be slightly nerfed next season, so keep it in mind. You want maximum combustion, fire mastery, fireball, firebolt, 1 point teleport and everything else into warm. The Meteor Sorceress. This one suffers from a spell that is hard to cast because you need to predict monster movement. Otherwise, it deals an insane amount of damage and this is a wonderful boss killer spell. So if your plan is to go ahead and kill bosses, this is your go-to. Put 20 points into Meteor, Fireball, Firewall, Fire Mastery, 1 to teleport, 1 to warm, and everything else into Inferno. Finally, the Hydra Source is even better boss killer, but slightly worse at killing growth. You want to put 20 points into Hydra, Lesser Hydra, Fire Mastery, Firebolt, 1 to teleport, and everything else into warm. For all these sorceress builds, you can also go Shiver Armor or Shielding Armor instead of Warm if you don't need a mana regen. Now to the Fire Source area charts, but before the final compiling of the builds, you will be gifted with my pain and suffering I had to go through to make this video. Damn it. Fuck! Oh my god! I fucking hate this game. Alright. For the Druid, Shockwave is S tier, Fire Druid is S tier, Nado Druid is S tier, and a Summoner is S tier. For the Barbarian, Singer is S minus, Throw is A, Frenzy is B plus, Concentration is C minus. The Sorceress Combustion is S, Meteor is A plus, Hydra is S minus, Frozen Orb is S plus, Frozen Nova is A minus, Blizzard is S minus, Ice Barrage is oof, and Lightning is oof. The Paladin Holy Bolt is God tier, Holy Freeze is S minus, Holy Shock is A tier, Holy Fire A plus tier, Sanctuary S tier. For the Necromancer, Boner is A plus, Poison Nova is S minus, Summoner is S plus. Lightning Javazone is S, Poison is A plus, Cold Arrow is S plus, Fire Arrow is S minus. And finally the Assassin, Mind Blast is S plus, Fire Trap is A plus, and Lightning Trap is S. Please, before you go ahead and try to behead me, keep in mind that this is subject to my own testing and preferences, and that having no gear versus having okay gear can completely turn this tier list on its head. If there is a starter build that you do not see here, well, it just didn't make the cut. 12 hours of editing, 7 hours of recording, and a lot of lack of sleep later. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like more videos like this, don't forget to like the video. Now is a perfectly balanced time to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And until the next video, bye bye.